What's your
Well,
solution? Do you have a solution?
oh, my solution? Well, it depends. Are we talking, am I limited to human powers or can I
Okay.
wiggle my nose and
Yes.
go
Thank you.
and
Go for it, Bewitched. Absolutely.
yeah. Welcome to the Timbits and Tacos Real Estate Podcast with me, Wendy Pauls, and my good friend and fellow agent, Rick Parks. Before we get into, so I did briefly mention to you, and I didn't share the article with you, but I want you to have an opportunity to respond to a recent article. Before we go there,
Yes.
if we were going to do a podcast on a different topic other than real estate,
Okay.
you and I, okay?
Okay.
Okay, anything,
Yes.
sky's the limit. What would you do?
I have a master's in leadership, so there's commonalities there. We could end up doing some sort of, whether it be self improvement or leadership type podcast,
Yeah,
that type of
yeah,
thing. But
yeah, I like that.
um, how to stay married, how to get divorced. I mean, I got that one.
Sure.
That
Yeah,
one's perfect. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I have
perfect.
no idea. That's a very interesting question.
I don't
Why?
know. I thought of the question. I thought, yeah, it would be interesting to know what if we were just choosing something that wasn't our careers.
Well,
What might we do?
what do you and I talk about when we sit around on a Christmas morning and we start talking? And usually you and I get into these ridiculously deep conversations about
Yeah,
a lot of different things.
that's
Um,
true. That's
you
true.
know,
And actually, I love all of those types of conversations. That's
me
why
too. Love them.
probably I would do a very broad one, maybe bring on just different guests that are interesting, maybe
Mhm.
experts in their field,
Yeah,
chat about all kinds of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just no religion, okay? Every time someone finds out that I used to be a pastor down here,
Uh-huh.
oh my God, they all want
They're
to hear my opinion. But I don't
Yes.
know.
Well,
So
that can make for interesting discussion no matter where you are, depending on the guest and depending on the person asking the questions.
it does, but it usually it ends up me talking for 45 minutes. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid
Yeah.
it now,
Yeah.
which is fine.
So I'm really curious to hear just you respond, as I said, to an article. All I've shared with you prior to this is just kind of the subject line of the article. I'm going to pull it up, read a little bit,
Yeah.
and I just want you to react to it because I like your perspective. You are Canadian, but you are not and haven't for several years now lived in Canada. You're living in Mexico, so you're surrounded there. You loosely follow some of our news, I'm sure, but not necessarily up close and personal. So
Fair enough.
let
Yeah.
me pull this up. Here we go with my shared screens again.
I think my glasses are all crooked.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
basically, this is a recent article, I think came out on the 19th, stating that population growth in Canada is outpacing housing completions by 40%. So I was
Yeah.
aware that we are behind, that we have been behind, that, the term housing crisis is thrown around a lot here in our news when it comes to, real estate. But seeing a number like that, and then that part of the article I showed earlier, that graph kind of showed how we're often outpacing a bit.
Mhm.
You'll see a small discrepancy, but then you see in the last year or so this huge outpacing. And yeah, 40% is significant.
Okay. So
So,
let me ask some basic questions right off the
yeah,
top. Number one, in the last 2 years, our population in Canada has not jumped that excessively. So are they not building homes?
it actually has grown significantly. They've increased immigration
Okay.
numbers significantly. I don't have the stats on hand, but I will tell you that I was told from a reliable source that Ontario specifically, this was a couple months ago, was getting 1,000 immigrants per day
Wow.
into Ontario.
So that's basically 350,000 people. No,
Just
3.5 million. No,
just to
350.
Ontario. So yeah, I do remember people sharing the numbers like, we've averaged this every year over so many years. And I think, last year was maybe like 1 million or
Mm-hmm.
something like that into the country. So we've already had, not really enough homes, not enough affordable housing for people, right?
Yeah.
House prices are, as you know, because we've talked on previous episodes and you follow a little bit, the house prices on average here, like a regular home, you're talking 800,000.
Right. Yeah.
And then with interest rates, what they are, and we have the stress test here, which is adding on another 2% on top of that you have to qualify for.
Right. Yeah.
So, all of those factors, and then you read an article like this.
So again, I look at these numbers and I say 550,000 people and 205,000 homes. But to me, that makes sense in the sense that 2.7 persons per house. Because you don't want to, you don't want one home per every person.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would be nice. Wouldn't it
Yes.
be nice?
Yeah. And
right?
again, the other side of the question would be how much then, and the other, I know this is a bigger challenge possibly, is affordability of rents have gone through the roof.
Yes. Yeah.
In Canada. I'm in the same here. We're getting stupid here now.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I can see that being a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I look at a story like this and I always start hedging through this going, okay, is there really, what does that really mean that it's outpacing by 40%? And I look at the 553 and 200,000 homes and I'm, well, average home size is 2.7 or 2.6 or whatever that number might be. We're fine there. So then the question now is, what does that mean as far as the availability of homes for people that are coming in, especially in the case of what you're talking, if growth's coming from migration, you're talking lower income, then yeah, there's certainly a problem.
Yeah. Well, and certainly we do feel it, we feel the increased pace in immigration. Like we are somewhat of a melting pot, similar to the US here. We've had lots of cultures, but you can kind of tell when you're out and about that, wow, there's just a lot of new people.
A lot more shawarma stands.
Absolutely, which actually
I love. Me too. I love shawarma.
Yeah, I absolutely.
We don't have shawarma down here. I miss it terribly.
It's so really?
Good. Oh, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so we're seeing that. Definitely feeling a lot of people having difficulty getting into homes. Sure. Of course, first-time home buyers. Now, so I'm wondering, do you have there like availability issues? So do you have
Huge
periods of time? You do.
Yeah. Claudia, who's sitting to my right, who works for me, just had to go find a condo for herself. And it was a months-long process for her to find a condo.
Wow.
That is, almost a third of her income, rent-wise.
Yes. Yeah. There's some other stats that I don't have handy either, but about the percentage of people that now, their rent is, a significant portion of their income. So, which is considered like unaffordable, right?
Yeah.
So, it's tough. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, kind of have you comment on it. And so let's just grant you incredible power to solve this problem. What would you do?
It's the same challenge that we have here. And it all comes down to greed. Developers don't want to build low-income housing because they don't make the money on low-income housing. So they're building high-end housing, which is only can be afforded by the top 20% of the population.
Yeah.
But there's enough people moving here either from out of country or from people that live here that are in that 15 to 20% top that can afford that development growth to go on. The solution, and then we look back at the government and say, well, that's the government's problem. The government needs to build these houses for these people.
Yeah.
Why? It's strictly a numbers game. And so it's either the government's got to create affordable housing, or developers have to start recognizing that they have to create affordable housing to house the people that are building their high-end housing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that we saw that here a number of years ago. There was a development in the city that the developer built for the workers while they were building the hotels.
Huh.
And then 10 years later, after that whole build had finished, he turned around and flipped out those condos and sold them off and made money on that. It's a great concept. It's a great way to do it. And we need more of that here. And it would probably be something we need more of in Canada. So maybe the solution comes down to corporations that when they're bringing in low-income workers to have the responsibility to somehow house the low-income workers.
I like your creative solution.
I don't know how creative it is, but I don't know what the solution is. But it's
complex. We're certainly, oversimplifying, I'm sure. But
I'm a real estate agent. I'm not nearly that complex. What's your solution? Do you have a solution?
Oh, my solution? Well, it depends. Am I limited to human powers, or can I wiggle my nose and go?
Thank you. Go for it, Bewitched. Absolutely.
Yeah. And build. Yeah, no, it's complex, but I do like that. I do think that there are organizations out there. I haven't personally seen them in housing, but I've seen them in other industries or products where they genuinely care about. Of course, they're a business and they want to make money, but they have a larger mission, and it's kind of both. Like, it's make money and fulfill this mission. And so I love the idea that maybe some builders, some developers. Sure, they're going to make money. They build and they make money, but they do care about helping solve this issue,
right?
And being part of the solution rather than just bottom line.
I think the big challenge is that there's a couple of challenges to that mentality as well, is that you don't get into a scenario where you develop projects. And I'm talking like projects you see in New York, projects you see in Miami.
Right.
Where you're forcing a certain sect of population into a specific area.
Right.
And now they're in a scenario where they're almost repressed.
Yeah.
And that you got to be really cautious about. So however it's done, there has to be an education or a process where the developers are going, okay, we're not going to put these people on a reserve.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
But they're going to be part of our general population. We're just making affordable housing for them.
Yeah. Just have more affordable housing. I agree.
Yeah, and spread it out through a community. Don't target it into one specific area.
And actually, I do notice that in a lot of our neighborhoods here, that they have a mixture. There might be some townhouses across the street from some single family and things like that, which I think is really, really a nice way to spread it out rather than sections of the city that are lower class.
We see that the dichotomy of income in this particular location that I'm in is extreme. You've got multi-million-dollar owners in multi-million-dollar homes.
I've seen some.
Right. Being serviced, and I hate the word, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
By a local population that lives in nothing better than a 400 square foot concrete block house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And those are challenges.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for making the time and for sharing your thoughts.
Wow, this is like a deep conversation. Wow.
Deep. Okay. I know, we went deep.
I'm happy to go deep anytime. Let's do it. Perfect. Awesome.
All right. Adios.
And goodbye.
And goodbye.